Aoraki Mt Cook is about to shrink by 30 metres, officially that is, after new measurements by the Otago National School of Surveying. Researcher Dr Pascal Sirguey joins us this evening to explain how the height was ascertained and where the 30 metres of mountain has gone. Good evening.
Good evening, Rebecca.
Why did you decide to measure the mountain?
Well, that project started really out of the work I was doing with a postgraduate student of mine, Sebastian Vivero, who was given a set of aerial photographs of the mountain captured in 2008, and with support with GNS Science. And the objective was to create a 3D computer model of that region to study the loss of volume of Tasman Glacier. But naturally, it was quite obvious we could look in more details at Aoraki Mt Cook and what the model was telling us about the height of Aoraki Mt Cook in 2008 when the imagery was captured. And it appeared very clearly that something was not exactly right. We had good confidence in our model, but to some extent we believe it was necessary to get measurements from the ground as close as possible from the summit to validate that model.
So how did you go about carrying out the measurements?
So that's really a good combination of two of the main technique of surveying today. One is called photogrammetry, which is the art of making measurements from photograph. That's what my student was doing. And the other is relying on what makes authority today in terms of measurements of locations, which is GPS technology, relying on satellites to get an absolute value of the location. And we had an opportunity to use the GPS to get as close as possible from the summit without stepping on the summit, and that was an agreement we had with the Naitau to not to denigrate the tapu status of the mountain.
So what were the results?
The result really shows that the 3D computer model we generated was dead on. In fact, the measurements we captured about 50 meters from the summit, 5 meters below the top, was within less than a meter from what the computer model was saying, which means the computer was valid and we could get the true elevation of the summit as it is today from the model.
So what's behind the drop in height?
Well, it appears quite clearly, looking at photographs from right after the big rock avalanche that happened in December 1991, that the shape of the ice cap at the summit, in fact, has dramatically changed. In fact, what appears to us is that the balance was broken after the rock avalanche, and the ice cap eventually reshaped itself to adjust to the new geometry of the edge that was generated by the rock avalanche.
How accurate do you think measurements of peaks are internationally?
There is a variety of quality in terms of measurements. Some peaks and high points, very prominent high points, are very well known. Everest is the first that would come to mind, has been surveyed very accurately using GPS technology. Another prominent summit that I've been involved through research is Kilimanjaro, which has been measured very accurately, down to centimetric level in 2008 by a team of Portuguese researchers along with Tanzanian researchers. But there are other examples, and one that comes to mind is Mount McKinley, the highest point of the North American continent, and effectively USA, which was remeasured just a year ago and also exhibited 25-meter reduction in height compared to the previous estimation from 1952.
Researcher Dr Pascal Sirguey, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.